ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ यश्छन्दसा मृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रमेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणा भूयासम् रम्ये विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि द्रविणगुं सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति त्रिशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम्। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारश्च ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नमः श्रीशङ्करानन्द गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। From the verse 29. तैजसा विश्वतां याताः देवतिर्यं नरादयः ते पराग्दर्शिनः प्रत्यक तत्त्वबोधविवर्जिताः कुर्वते कर्म भोगाय कर्म कर्तुं च भुञ्जते। नद्यां कीटा इवावर्तात् आवर्तान्तरमाशुते व्रजन्तो जन्मनो जन्म लभन्ते नैव निर्वृतिम् सत्कर्म परिपाकात्ते करुणानिधिनोद्धृताः प्राप्यतीरतरुच्छायाम् विश्राम्यन्ति यथा सुखम्. The plight of the individual here is compared to that of a worm being swept under the current of a river. How it is helpless, important what the illustration is in that aspect which shows the helplessness of that worm which is just swept under the current of the river and goes from one whirlpool to another whirlpool. Before it is even released from one whirlpool, it's swept into the other whirlpool, and thus going from one whirlpool to the other whirlpool, the poor thing never has respite. Labhante naiva nirvrutim. How these worms never get any peace. And so also these individuals, what we call the jiva, the individual, vrajanto janmano janma, this fellow goes from one birth to the other because parag darshinaha, these people are what we call extrovert. Individual always looks up to the objects of the world for the fulfillment, which fulfillment can never be obtained, and thus he keeps on striving with the whole of this life, and the purpose of his life not being complete, well, he has to continue in the other life. And thus from one life to the other life, this fellow keeps on traveling helplessly. Helplessly because under the force of what we call the nature being extrovert, it keeps on pulling me from one end to the other, from one burst to the other. And this is how the people find themselves helplessly being swept in the current of life. This is a very effective illustration for the kind of life that the human beings, the jivas, the individuals, the samsaris are leading. Then how do we come out of this? Sat karma paripagate. Just as for the worm also, by some grace, by the fructification of some actions which it must have had in the past, karuna nidhana udrutaha, these worms also are lifted from the water by some compassionate person. Prapyatir taruchayam, and is brought from the stream of water and placed under the shade of a tree. Vishramyanti yatha sukham, and thus these worms are able to rest happily under the shade of a tree, being rescued from this current of the water by some compassionate one. This is the illustration. Now the darstanta, that which is illustrated, namely the life of the human beings. Idanim drashtanta siddhamartham darstantike yojayati. And in the verse 32, the teacher shows how a similar setup also is applicable to the human beings. Says in this verse, Upadeshamavapyaivam Acharya Tattvadarshinaha Paṃcakosha vivekena Labhante nirvritim param. And so again, evam, in this manner, if this human being also, because of the fructification of some punya karma, some virtuous actions of the past, happens to meet a compassionate person, the teacher, and he is also lifted from the stream of life and placed under the shade of a tree. How is he lifted? Well, this is not, in case of worm, it's physical lifting. In case of this fellow, he is being swept in the current of samsara and the current of life. From there he is lifted by the upadesha, by the teaching. Upadeshat, upadesham avapya. from gaining upadesha, the teaching from a learned or a wise man. And what's the nature of that teaching? Paṃcakosha vivekena. Viveka means a discrimination between the self and the non-self, Atma and Anatma, where Anatma is looked upon as Paṃcakosha, as we'll see, the 5 sheets, labhante nirvritim param. So here the nature of samsara is merely the identification with the body. It was said here that on account of taking the body to be I, on account of taking the mind to be I, on account of taking this individual upadhi to be I, there is a sense of limitation. And I am swept along with the body. What is born is not Atma, what is born is the body. However, on account of my taking the body as I, as though I am born, and that's how as though Atma is born. I have no choice. You see, in India when we were children, sometimes a motor cars were not many those days. So sometimes in the street where we were playing, if a motor car is to come, and then suppose it stopped there to perhaps, and that man went to see somebody and then he comes out, then the children used to hang on to that motor car, at the back there. And when that fellow drives, this fellow also go along with it. They used to enjoy. And so you also run fast. So held on to the rear bumper, hold on to it and you run along with it. But that goes for a while. If the driver of the motor car happens to be a mischievous fellow, at a given point in time he will just press the accelerator pedal, and then this fellow is held, now you are holding on to the rear bumper and it's going so fast that you cannot give it up because you will fall down, and therefore you are swept with it. So the point is that then you lose your choice. Then you have to run along with the motor car. If you don't run, you'll be thrown out. Sometimes these fellows riding the bicycles on the road, they're very smart. Sometimes a truck, is going on the road. This fellow with one hand holds the truck. But he's not going too fast. And so he doesn't have to pedal his motorcycle, by the force of the truck, this fellow goes. The truck driver sometimes notices that and then slowly increases the speed, And this cyclist is now, again he has to hold on to it. And you are swept. This is called helpless. Once you think that you are very smart and catching hold of something. But ultimately that thing catches hold of you, and that is how you are you are swept in the current of life. So also it is this body which I am holding on to, taking it to be I. And I think that gives me security and everything else. Ultimately that drags me from one birth to the other, from one sense of limitation to the other. And this is the helplessness in the samsara. So here, even though the samsara or the life of limited existence is compared to an ocean, there is no ocean as such. But the feeling is similar. As the one is in the ocean, when he is drowning, not drowned but drowning. And so now and then he has an opportunity to come up, get some fresh air, again goes in the water, gets suffocated, comes up, and that is how the life is. More suffocation and little bit of fresh air. More of suffocation, as Swamiji would say, dukkham, 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 sukham. Dukkham, 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 sukham. This is how the life goes on. And he doesn't know how to come out of it. So it requires a compassionate person who can lift him. And this lifting him is merely to show that you are not the body. Look, you take yourself to the body, you take yourself to this anatma, and you are not there. That is the kind of teaching that is required. And once he sees that, well, that's all. Then he's free, because he's free already, but takes himself to be bound on account of taking this body to be the self. So teacher just makes him see. And for that it is necessary to carry out what we call the discriminative analysis, where what is anatma must be known as anatma, what is non-self must be clearly known as non-self, and what is self must be clearly known as self. When that is done, then I discover that the self is free, labhante nirvritim param, and those people gain param nirvritim, happiness. The happiness of the freedom is what they gain. Says the commentator, Upadesham avapya evam. There is a word there, evam. Evam means uktena prakarena, in this manner. In the manner in which those worms were rescued from the water, In this manner also, these fellows are rescued from the current of samsara. When would that happen? How come that some people have the opportunity to listen to the scriptures and most people don't have? So, Shravanayapi bahubhiryo na labhya, Kathopanishad says, this Atma or the Self is not available to most people even for listening. People have no idea at all that there is such a thing as Atma, the Self. They have never heard of it, they have never had the opportunity to hear. So what is it that distinguishes this rare few who have the opportunity to be exposed to this teaching? Purvoparita punya karma paripakavashad. On account of paripaka, on account of fructification of purvoparita punya karma. He must have indeed, a person like this must have indeed performed countless punya karma, countless actions, virtuous actions he must have performed in the past life, and as a result of fructification of this, he comes across a teacher. It's not an ordinary thing. As Shankaracharya says in Vivekachudam in the very first verse, Jantunam narajanma durlabham. First of all, even to gain birth as a human being itself is durlabham, it's rare. He says these three things are durlabham, three things are rare. Manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, mahapurusha samshraya, durlabham trayamevaitat. This three is indeed rare. To be born as manushyatvam, to be born as a human being is rare. There are countless species and you can be born anywhere. It is rare that one is born as a human being. It's a great fortune. Alright, in spite of being born as a human being, still most people seem to lead their life simply running after one thing or the other, from womb to the tomb, as they said, and never realizing the purpose of life. So there are some few who are mumukshus, who realize or recognize that the human life is meant for gaining moksha, the freedom, and not to be wasted away or squandered away in all these material pursuits. And so there are few of them mumukshus, desirous of moksha or desirous of liberation. To have that maturity of the mind, where one has discerned the problem of life and one is seeking in fact release from this limited existence, to have that mumukshutvam is even rare. And there are so many mumukshus. There may be so many people who are seeking to be free and they just do not know how to go about that. Some rare few of them meet really a wise man, mahapurusha samshraya, and thus having an association of the wise is even rare. So being born as a human being is rare, then having the discrimination that what one is seeking is in fact freedom is yet rare, and to come across a wise man who can give us the knowledge is even rare. Daiva devanugraha hetukam. How to explain this? Devanugraha hetukam. It is merely anugraha, the grace of Lord, that such a thing is there. You might say that I have earned this. So they say that I have earned it because I have performed some good actions in the past and I have earned this human life. It is true. But you just do not know what kind of all actions are in our account, you see. Because from countless life we have been performing countless kinds of actions. And I am sure that every kind of action is there in our account. Actions which can make me born, which can result into my birth into a mosquito or whatever, right up to whatever. But then it is again only the grace of Lord. Who is the karma phaladata? He is the one who dispenses of the results of the action. He chooses such actions by which I gain the birth as a human being. So we look upon the birth itself as a great, is really a blessing. That's why we celebrate the birth rate. Why should we otherwise celebrate? Why do people celebrate their birth rates? I don't know. In fact, it is 1 year less in our life. What is it that they celebrate? When the birth date comes, people are so happy. Well, thank God they are happy. At least there is one occasion to be happy. That is also fine. But actually coming to think of it, it is 1 year less. And so, but still we celebrate. But I guess the reason for the celebration must be, it at least is a reminder that I am a human being, that I was born, and that's a great blessing. That I enjoyed that blessing for 1 year. And perhaps that must be the reason why people celebrate. Otherwise we don't even know how the birth dates are. Every year those candles, the number is increasing, and then it takes longer and longer to blow off those candles. and we don't know how the time is just passing by. As Bhartrhari says, there is one sage, Bhartrhari in India, and he says that every day the sun rises and we think that the same sun is rising, Adityascha gata-gataihi ahar-har. Every day, ahar-har, every morning, Aditya, the sun rises. Sankshiyate jivanam. We do not realize that when the sun rises the next morning, that one day of my life is gone. We don't realize that. We think every morning is the same because sun looks the same. Everything looks the same. Except that sankshiyate jivanam. One day of the life is exhausted. Okay, one day is exhausted. But today is there. What do we do today? Vyaparaihi bahukarya bhara gurubihi kalopi na jnayate. This fellow keeps himself so busy from morning till evening, How the time passes, how the day passes, he just doesn't know. Vyaparehi bahukari bhara guruvi. So many activities he has. And so many things are on his mind that the day just passes. Kalopi na jnayate. Doesn't know how the time has gone. Okay, he has so many experiences in life. Does he learn something from them or not? Drashtva janma jara vipatti maranam. He says he sees everywhere. There is birth, which is pain. There is old age, which is pain. There is death, which is pain. There are all kinds of disease and suffering. Pain, he sees everything, everywhere. Drashtva janma jara vipatti maranam. Even then, nothing happens to this fellow. He says everything, but he thinks that it happens to everybody else, That somebody is there, death is there, it's for someone else. Disease, for someone else. Old age, he never imagines that, that trasascha padyate. There is no fear in him that this will happen to me one day. In spite of seeing all of this in the body, everywhere, this fellow never learns. He thinks that, okay, old age is, is for somebody else. Disease, for somebody else. Death, for somebody else. Drashtva janma jara vipatti maranam trasascha notpadyate. The Bhartrhari is wondering what has happened to these fellows. Pitva mohamayim praman vadiram unmatta bhutam jagat. He says this whole creation is really unmatta bhut. All of these intoxicated fellows, they have really drunk the alcohol. Mohamayim pramad madiram. Moha, that fascination, that they have, or delusion that they have. Pramada madiram. Pramada means inadvertence. So, this lack of priorities. Inadvertence means, pramada is a very interesting term. There are two words in Sanskrit. One is called alasya, other is called pramada. Alasya means laziness, and pramada means inadvertence. So, a lazy person is the one who knows that something is to be done, but he does not do. He is a lazy fellow. He knows that he has to go to work, doesn't go. Or he knows that he has to do something, doesn't do. That's lazy. But what is a fellow who has pramada? Pramada is a fellow who is very busy, all right, but does what is not to be done. And so that is called pramada. So he thinks that he is very busy, and the fellow is driving on the road thinking that he's, just because you are driving does not mean that you are making progress. You could very well be, you could very well be on a wrong route. People are running fast, thinking that running fast means making progress. But it should be in the right direction. So this is pramada madiram. Tritva mohamayim pramada madiram. This madira means alcohol of the nature of pramada. Pramada is inadvertence. The total confused priorities. The priorities are confused, and therefore I am doing something which is not what I should have been doing. Unmatta bhutam jagat. The whole creation seems to be, this whole world is intoxicated. He says, because people, they just don't realize at all. And that's the reason why most people have no opportunity even to know that there is something called Atma. From all this, that some people have the opportunity to listen itself is a great fortune. Therefore he says, Purvor Pajita Punya Karma Paripaka Vashat. That it must be really the fructification of countless good actions that he must have performed, that he comes across a teacher, or a teacher comes across him, whatever. Formerly, the disciples used to go to the teachers. And today it is the other way around. Today the teachers are coming to us. But then, on account of that blessing, Tattvadarshinaha, that's the fifth case. Tattvadarshinaha Acharya. This Tattvadarshinaha, that word can be nominative plural, accusative plural, and then what is it? Fifth case singular and sixth case singular. Of them, this is fifth case singular. Tattvadarshinaha Acharyat. So Acharya, the teacher, who is Tattvadarshi. Acharya is the one who can impart the knowledge. Tattvadarshi is the one who has the vision of the truth. Tattvadarshinaha Pratyak Abhinna Brahma Sakshatkar Vatah Acharyat Guroho Sakashat. So to indicate fifth case, he writes as Sakashat, from. So who is the Tattvadarshi? Who is the one who has the knowledge of the truth? Pratyak Abhinna Brahma Sakshatkar Vatah. One who has the Sakshatkar. Sakshatkar means a direct knowledge. Pratyak Abhinna Brahma. The Atma, Pratyak Atma is in fact Brahman. One who has the knowledge of this identity between the Atma and Brahman, meaning the one who knows the self to be limitless. From such a Acharya. Acharya also is a word which means Achinoti Shastrani. This A plus Chi. From that the word Acharya is made. That's one way. Achinoti Shastrani. And Acharya, another is A plus Char. So Acharanam. Acharya Sthapayatyapi. So one who has studied the scriptures and one Swam Acharate Yasmat. He himself puts into practice what he has studied, and Acharya Sthapayati. He makes other people also to follow the same achara or conduct. So one who has studied the scriptures and assimilated them, one who implements that learning in his own life, and one who makes other people also to follow. Such a person is called Acharya. So Acharya has three aspects. That he is a learned man, that you find in his life the reflection of his learning, and you find in him an ability to make other people also see and implement what he knows. He is called Acharya. So such an Acharya, who himself is a wise man, who has discovered this fact that Atma is limitless, Brahman. From such a teacher, Acharya Guruhu Sakashat Upadesham Avapya, gaining Upadesha or teaching from such a teacher. What is Upadesham? Tattvamasya Vakyartha Jnana Sadhanam Shravanam. So Upadesha means Shravanam, thus listening to the scriptures. What is it that the scriptures tell us? Tattvamasi, that's all. So if you want to describe Vedanta in one simple sentence, it's one simple sentence, Tattvamasi, that thou art, you are limitless, you are free, whatever you are seeking, you are. This is what Vedanta has to say. For that there are years and years of learning, and so many books are there and so much of the effort is there, just to learn this simple thing. I am what I am seeking, that I am free. How difficult it looks like. It should be very simple, that I am free to know that, but seems to be extremely difficult and has to be told again and again and again and again in different ways. And that's all that the teacher does. Tattvamasyadi vakyartha jnana sadhanam. Thus one has to in fact gain the knowledge of what this particular statement means. That you are Brahman or I am Brahman. What does it mean? That knowledge, direct perception one must gain. And for that, what's the means for gaining that knowledge? Is Shravanam. Shravanam means listening to the scriptures. As we said, Shravanam means Shastra Vicharaha. Performing an inquiry into the nature of the truth, into the nature of myself, with the help of scriptures. This is what is accomplished during this process called Shravanam or listening. It is not merely listening. Although listening also has some value. In India there are people who are professional listeners, in the sense that they go wherever there is any kasa. Wherever any discourse they are going on, there are people, retired people, and so they go regularly. And usually it is believed that this kind of discourses are only listened to by the people who are retired, nothing else to do. Because imagine in India also people believe that All this is not meant for active people, all this is meant for retired people. Imagine, that's what Indians think. And poor these retired, what would they do? So wherever something is going on, they go there. And sometimes they can't even hear properly, even then they go there, So we asked an old woman, so what is it? You are coming here and sitting, did you follow something? Well, I followed some big things, gross things I followed. Sometimes they come and quietly reposed, against the wall, and so in fact, one very famous this kathakar, one who gives discourses on Ramayana. His name is Murari Bapu. So thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people attend his discourses, And somebody once told him, he says, Bapu, look at these people, they come and quietly sleep in your katha, in your discourses, what's the point? He says, well, that is also a service. Now, those people are not able to sleep at their home, and so at least they will do it here. So that is something, But if you ask the people, why do you go? He says, well, Kan Pavitra Tashe, they say, so that our ears will be purified. When this kind of words fall on our ears will be also sanctified and will get some punya. So many people go to these discourses because some punya will be acquired. And it will be acquired here also, by the way. So, so even listening also, sometimes one used to ultimately, at least that minimum benefit you get, of attending classes, that some little punya you will acquire. But basically Shravanam is not merely listening. Shravanam, listening means vicharaha, an inquiry into the nature of truth with the help of the scriptural statements which the teacher unfolds. And while we are listening to the scripture, and all this will come in this very chapter itself, he says Vakshamanam, which Shravanam will be described. What is the nature of this Shravanam or listening, which is going to be described subsequently. Avapya, well, he is fortunate enough to gain the benefit of this listening of the scriptures. Avapya means sampadya. Paṃcakosha vivekena. Then, what is it that the teacher do? How does it unfold the truth? That you are limitless. How is the truth unfolded? Certain methodology is employed by the teacher, and one of the methods that the teacher employs is called Paṃcakosha viveka. Paṃcakosha vivekena annādīnām pañcānām koshanām vivekena. Viveka means prathakkaranam, separation. When two things are mixed together, then separating this is called viveka. Here also there is a mix-up of Atma and Anatma, the self and the non-self. Both of them are intimately mixed up. And to be able to separate them, that is called viveka. Vakshamana vivechanena, which vivechanam, which discourse or definition is going to be subsequently stated. Param nirvritim moksha sukham labhante. Then these fellows gain param nirvriti. Nirvriti means happiness. Param nirvritim, limitless happiness. Moksha sukham labhante. They gain the sukham, the happiness, which is moksha. This is what they gain by being able to do this Paṃcakosha viveka, by being able to discriminate between the self and the non-self as a result of listening to the teacher. And that is how they gain this moksha, freedom. So he has nicely created the background for the Paṃcakosha viveka. How beautifully he develops the thing. First he described through the process of creation how this individual came to be, how this individual came to be a samsari. How the gross body is created, how the subtle body is created, how the gross body is created, how one gets identified with them, and that is how a sense of limitation arises. And how on account of that one wants to become free from the sense of limitation and performs all kinds of actions which seem to confound that sense of limitation, and one goes from one birth to the other, how this is going on. And at some point in time, on account of the blessing of the grace, how he comes across the teacher and how he is released from the samsara, the whole thing is said. Now he is going to perform the role of that teacher. Paṃcakosha vivekena, that Paṃcakosha viveka, is what follows. Say that Kete Annadaya Paṃcakoshaha iti Akankshayaṃ Tam Upadishati. Which are these 5 koshas? Beginning from Annamaya, etc. What are these? Iti Akankshayaṃ. When that question arises, Tam Upadishati. The teacher now says, what are those 5 koshas? In the verse 33. Annam prano mano buddhi Anandascheti panchate Koshastairavrtasvatma Vismritya samsritim vrajet. Annam pranaha manaha buddhi anandasya. I mean, all of us, I guess, know this. These are the 5 koshas, the 5 sheets, as it is translated. So these are 5 sheets. Anna, prana, manaha, buddhi, ananda. Te paṃcakoshaha. These are the 5 koshas or the 5 sheets. Taihi avrutaha. Swatma, this Atma or the self is as though surrounded by the sheets, as though covered or concealed by the sheets. Not in a physical sense, but then as though. How a sheath conceals something. And like the sheath that conceals a sword, The sword is there, but we can't see it because it is concealed by the scabbard, as it is called. So how the sword is concealed by a scabbard, and that becomes a sheath. And so also Atma is as though concealed by this body, concealed by the prana, concealed by the mind, concealed by the intellect. Account of that, Vismritya, I forget who I am, Samsritim vrajet, and thus I enter into the samsara. This is the samsara. Samsara means a life of limited existence on account of forgetfulness of my own nature, because of the presence of these 5 koshas. Here the commentator explains that Annam pranaha manaha buddhi anandasya iti paṃcakoshaha. What is buddhi? Buddhi vijnanam. So annamaya koshaha, pranamaya koshaha, manomaya koshaha, Vijnanamaya kosha. Buddhi means buddhir vijnanam. Vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. He himself will explain what these are. Tesham annadinam kosha shabda abhidheyatve karanamaha. So how come these things are called kosha? Kosha means a sheath. Why this body? Body, as he will himself explain, this body is called annamaya kosha. Food sheath, or Annamaya means body which is made of the modification of food, that itself becomes a sheath as though which conceals the Atma. The prana, the vital energy, also becomes a sheath which conceals the Atma. The mind also as though becomes a sheath which conceals the Atma. Why? Why are they called koshaha or the sheaths? Because they conceal the Atma. That's what he says. Tesham annadinam kosha shabda abhideyatve. Why this Annamaya, etc. are called kosha? Abhidhanam means name. How come they are named as Annamaya, etc. Kosha? Karanamaha, he himself explains why these things are called kosha. Taihi avrutaha, taihi koshaihi avrutaha, achaditaha, swatma, sarubhutah atma, vismritya, swaswarupa vismaranena, samsritim, Jananadi prapti rupam samsaram vrajet. Taihi koshaihi avrutaha achaditaha swatma. The swatma or the self which is avrutaha, which is covered or concealed by these koshas. The body becomes a sheath because it conceals the Atma. The prana becomes a sheath because it conceals the Atma, and that is why it is called kosha. Swatma means Swarupa Bhutaha Atma, Vismritya, Swaswarupa Vismaranena, on account of forgetting my true nature and taking myself to be what I am not, samsrutim labhet vrajet jananadi prapti rupam samsaram. Samsara is samsarati asmin is samsara. That in which one keeps on going from one stage to the other is called samsara. Jananadi prapti rupam. This life characterized by continuous unbroken stream of birth and death, which means an unbroken stream of limited existence. This is what one attains on account of forgetting one's true nature, which forgetfulness happens because of the presence of this body, etc. Thus this body, etc. become instrumental in as though concealing the true nature of the Atma and taking myself to be what I am not, namely the body, and that is the ground for the unbroken stream of this limited existence. This commentator himself explains what is kosha. Spashtam. Spashtam means he doesn't explain that sentence because it is clear. Kosho yasa koshakara krumehe avarakattvena klesha hetuhu evam annadayopi advayanandatvadi avarakattvena atmanah klesha hetutvad koshaha iti uchyante ityartha. We know the famous example of a silkworm. How the silkworm creates a net around himself for protection of himself. A silkworm takes a silk thread and then creates that everybody knows, I guess. So how the silkworm creates a bondage around himself, he in fact does it for his own security. But the very thing which he creates for security becomes a bondage for him. And that's a very fantastic thing. So that is an illustration. That's what happens to us also. A lot of things we create for our own security. Like the house. The house is built for our security. It's interesting how somebody said in Gujarati language, to build a house, build means bandhu. It says, in a ghar bandhu, he has built a house. Now, bandhu has these two meanings. To construct as well as to be bound. And a ghar bandhu and a bandhai gayo. You see, he built the house and himself is now limited by it. What happens is, as long as you don't have a house, you want to have it. And then you think that you will have security and everything else. No, you have a house. Then that itself becomes a source of botheration now. How to take care of it? How to build, how to protect it? Now you can't go out. Why? Because you can't leave the house unattended. And therefore, formerly that fellow was living in an apartment, attending classes regularly. Now he has a house, and now, how come you are not regular? He says, well, there is nobody to look after the house, and so I must be there. People come to these camps here and worry about their house is there, who will look after it, and whether the neighbor will take care of it or not. And so these things, this is just an illustration how something that is constructed for our own security becomes a bondage. And that poor silkworm also creates around it that whole shell for its security, and ultimately gets bound there itself. That itself becomes the cause of its death, as they say. Because for the sake of that silk, these fellows take and boil them, and that's how the poor worms are killed. Well, something like that happens. So how that very thing becomes klesha hetu, how that very kosha or the sheath that he created became the cause for its suffering. Koshakara krumehe, koshakara krume means a silkworm. Avarakattvena klesha hetuhu, how that very kosha of the sheath becomes a hetu, the cause for its suffering. Evam annadayopi, similarly also, this body etc., which we have built, understand. Body is given to us all right, but ultimately who has built this body? We have built it. How have we built it? By desiring, that I want to enjoy this, I want to experience this, I want this. I keep on placing these requisitions. This is called requisition. I want this, I want that. In a typical big organization, there is a storekeeper. And if you want something from there, you must fill out a form. That's called a requisition. And then that becomes a very thing that binds me, because when the body is there, I take the body to be myself. So annadayopi, advaya anandatvadi avarakattvena, that I am non-dual, that fact is concealed by this body. When I take this body to be I, the another body becomes another I, and thus I become one of the many. I, who in nature is the only one, becomes what? One of the many. The advayatvam, the non-duality, is concealed by the body. Not by the body, but by taking the body to be I. Anandatva, that I am limitless, that fact also is concealed by taking the body to be the self. I immediately become a limited person. Thus all the characteristics of the Atma are concealed on account of identification with the body, and that is how this body effectively conceals the true nature of Atma. Not by enveloping it. That silkworm is enveloped by the course. Or the footnote says, Yadva khadga avaraka charmani yathava kosha shabdah tatha atrapi iti jnayam. Khadga means a sword. Just as a sword is concealed by a scabbard which is made of leather, and how that scabbard also is called kosha, and so also the self is as though covered. Not that this body can envelop the Atma, because Atma is all pervasive, it cannot be enveloped by anything. But the effect is similar. That when I take the body to be I, the Atma is as though confined to the size of the body. I then feel that my existence is only limited to the boundary of my skin. I don't extend beyond the tip of my nose, or so immediately the body creates a sense of my being confined to this boundary. And that is how effectively conceals the true nature of myself. And so effect is similar to the effect that a kosha or a sheath may have. So it says, koshavat achchadakatvat. On account of these, they are able to conceal or veil the true nature of the Atma, just as a scabbard or a sheath would veil. Therefore, this body, etc., are called kosha or the sheath. Some people imagine that Atma is inside, that there is outer, the food sheath, inside is another sheath, vital air sheath, inside is the mind sheath, inside is the intellect sheath, inside is the ananda, bliss sheath, and inside that is Atma, So people want to penetrate this. But this is not, it's not in a physical sense. But in a sense there is an inside thing also. Inasmuch as each sheath, each following one is subtler than the previous one. Because food, Annamaya, the body, is the grossest of them all. Subtler than that is prana, the vital energy. Subtler than that is the mind. Subtler than that is the intellect. And even subtler than that is the happiness that we experience. And that way, that which is subtle is supposed to, that which is subtler is said to be inside that which is grosser. And in that sense, we can say that the sheaths are as though one in Atma is subtler than the subtlest, and therefore it can be said to be inside everything, but not inside in a physical sense, inside in the sense of being subtle. And that's the reason why we have to recognize. So, as Swami must have told you, these 5 kosha, the 5 sheaths are nothing but 5 universal errors. So, everyone commits this error without being taught. And so nobody has taught me, hey, you are this body. No need to teach that. You are your mind. I need not be taught, because that I naturally and habitually take it to be. And this is an error. And we can commit millions of errors. All the errors are classified into 5 categories, which are universal error. Everyone uniformly commits this error of taking the body to be the self, taking the prana to be self, taking mind to be the self, taking intellect to be the self, taking ananda to be the self. And therefore they are called koshaha. And therefore we can analyze, because this applies to everyone. Okay, having explained the reason why this Annamaya body, etc., is called kosha, the sheath, now he goes ahead to explain what is the nature of each one of these sheaths. Tesham koshanam swarupani kramena vyutpadayati. Swarupa means the nature of this kosha, nature of the sheath, Kramena, in sequence, Vyutpadayati bodhayati. He now unfolds or teaches us in sequence the nature of these sheets. So this verse 34 says in Syat panchīkrita bhūtotthah deha sthulo na sanyakah linge tu rajasaiः pranaihi pranah karmendriyaiः sah. In the next 2.5 verses, Syat panchīkrita ityadina modadi vrittibhiti antena sarda slokadvayana. Sarda slokadvaya. Slokadvaya means 2 verses. Sarda means along with the other half. So in the next 2.5 verses, the author here gives us definition of these 5 sheets. Panchīkrita bhūtotthah dehaha sthulaha. This gross body which is created from or made of these 5 gross elements. Anna sanyakaha. So anna sanyakaha syat. It is called annamaya koshaha. This gross body which is made of food or made of modification of food, made of the 5 elements, is called annamaya koshaha. Lingetu rajasaihi pranaihi. What is called pranamaya kosha? The vital air sheath. Karmendriyahi saha pranaha. So different pranas, the 5 pranas, along with the 5 organs of action, they make up what we call the pranamaya kosha. That's being explained here. Panchīkritebhyah bhūtebhyah utpannah sthūlah dehah annasanyakah annamaya shabditah kosha syāt. It's called annamaya. Mayat here is in the sense of vikara. That mayat pratyaya is applied to anna, which means vikara, modification. This gross body is made up of the modification of food. Not made of food as such, but modification of food. Panchīkritebhyah bhūtebhyah utpannah. It is created from the elements, the 5 gross elements. Is this sthulo deha. The gross body is called annamaya. Annasanyakah is called annamaya koshaha. That's all. It's called koshaha because the body is taken to be self. And when the body is taken to be self, it effectively conceals the true nature of the self. This body is the first place where the error is committed. Just its vicinity, body's vicinity, just its presence itself becomes the cause for committing an error. If the body were not there, I would not have taken to the body to be myself, but the body is there and therefore naturally and habitually it is taken to be the self, and that is how the body becomes an instrument, instrumental in concealing the true nature of the self. Therefore it is called annamaya koshaha. What is pranamaya kosha? Pranastu means pranamaya koshastu. Linge means linga shrire vartamanaihi rajasaihi rajoguna karyabhutaihi pranaihi pranapanadibihi vayubihi panchabihi vagadibihi karmendriyaihi sah dashabhihi syāt. Thus pranamaya kosha is 5 pranas and 5 organs of action. Rajoguna. Rajoguna karyabhutaihi. All of these are the products of rajoguna of the 5 elements. Remember that from the rajas amsha of the 5 elements, the 5 organs of action were created. From the individual rajas amsha of the 5 elements, individual 5 organs were created. From the rajas amsha of the akasha, the speech, rajas amsha of the vayu, the hands, rajas amsha of the fire, the legs, and so on. So thus these 5 organs of action were created from the rajas amsha of the 5 elements, and from the combined rajas amsha, the prana, the vital air, was created, which again gets modified into 5 physiological functions. And so these 5 pranas representing 5 physiological functions and the 5 organs of actions, these 10 elements make up what we call pranamaya koshaha. What is annamaya koshaha? is Annamaya, this body. Pranamaya kosha, the vital air sheath. Okay. Then continuing further. Sattvikair sakam vimarshatma manomaya taireva sakam vijnana mayodhir nischayatmika. Satvikaihi dhi indriyehi sakam vimarshatma manomaya. Manomaya means manomaya kosha is vimarshatma, that mind which is of the nature of doubt or nature of desire. So the doubting or desiring faculty called the mind. Satvikaihi dhindriyehi sakam, along with the organs of perception. So mind along with the organs of perception is called manomaya kosha, the mental sheath. Taireva sakam vijnanamaya dihi nischayatmika, and the buddhi, which is the determining faculty, that buddhi along with the 5 organs of perception makes up the vijnanamaya kosha. This is what is said in the Tika. Vimarshatma, vimarshatma means samshayatmakam panchabhuta sattva-karyam yanmanaha uktam tat satvikaihi pratyek bhuta sattva-karya bhutaihi dhindriyehi shrotradihi panchabhi jnanendriyehi sakam sahitam manomaya koshasya purvena sambandha. So mind is vimarshatma samshayatmakam manaha. It was earlier described that what is called mana or the mind is samshayatmakam, that which is predominantly of the nature of doubt or nature mind that desires. The doubting, desiring, emotional, impulsive faculty, which is panchabhuta sattva-karyam. Mind after all is made up of the sattva ansha of the 5 elements, and therefore it goes with other things which are also made of sattva ansha. See, prana is made of the rajas ansha, and therefore it gets combined with the organs of action which are also made of rajas ansha. The mind is made up of the sattva ansha, and therefore it combines with the organs of perception which are also made of sattva ansha. Tat satvikaihi pratyeka bhuta sattva karya bhutaihi, not pratyekam but pratyeka bhuta sattva karya bhutaihi, and those organs of perception which are made of sattva ansha of the individual elements. Shrotradihi panchabhi jnanendrihi sahitam. So these 5 organs of perception beginning from here. So that and the mind, meaning the 5 organs of perception and the mind, that makes up the manomaya kosha. Nischayatmika dhihi, and dhihi means buddhi. Nischayatmika, that whose nature is nischaya, ascertainment, decision, knowledge, in kartrutva, the sense of individuality. So that dhihi, that buddhi, which is also satkar, sattva-karya rupa buddhi, which is also made up of the sattva ansha of the 5 elements. Taihi eva purvoktaihi jnanendriyehi eva sakam sahita sati vijnanamaya kya kosasyat. And this buddhi along with the 5 organs of perception becomes vijnanamaya kosha. You will note here that the organs of perception 5 are included in both manomaya kosha and vijnanamaya kosha. Because very often this organs of perception, eyes, ears, etc., become instrumental in creating doubts, and very often they help us to make a decision also, and therefore they are included in both manomaya kosha and vijnanamaya kosha. And finally, in verse 36 it is said, karane sattvamananda mayo modadi vrittivihi tat tat koshaistu tadatmya atma tattanmayo bhavet. Karane sattvam anandamayo modadi vrittivihi. In the Karana Sharira, there is this Anandamaya. So, Karana Sharira means the causal body, the ignorance. You see, in the deep sleep, there is a blanket of ignorance, but in the deep sleep we experience what we call Ananda. In deep sleep we experience happiness. And so, even though ignorance is there is happiness also. So, therefore it is called Malina Sattva. Happiness can be there only when Sattva Guna is there, but this Sattva Guna is overpowered by ignorance, and therefore it is called Malina Sattva. So that is called Anandamaya Kosha. And there are three modifications of Ananda. Modadi Vrittibihi, Priya Moda Pramoda. These three vrittis are there, and they are the modifications of happiness. That makes up the Anandamaya Kosha. That he explains here. Karani means Karana Sharira Bhutayam Avidyayam. Sattvam means what? Yat Malina Sattvam Asti. मोदादि वृत्तिभिः तत् मोदादि वृत्तिभिः प्रियमोद प्रमोदाख्यैः इष्ट दर्शन लाभ भोगजन्यैः सुख विशेषैः सहितम् आनंदमयः आनंदमयाख्यः कोशस्यादिति. So what is Anandamaya Kosha? Happiness. Happiness that we experience. However, whenever we experience happiness, there is ignorance also involved along with that. Because when I am, for example, experiencing something that I like, I am eating cake or ice cream or candy or whatever it is, I feel happy. That time I do experience happiness, but I do not know. I think that happiness comes from that candy or from chocolate. And thus that very effect really conceals, even though the happiness comes from the self, and that is the happiness that I am experiencing at that time. However, that experience of happiness originating from the contact with a desired object conceals effectively the knowledge of the Atma, that is Atma, which is Ananda. That knowledge is concealed by that experience of happiness apparently coming from the object. So ignorance is there in every experience of happiness. So you must have heard that in the moment of happiness, what I experience is myself. In a moment of happiness, when the experience of the happiness and the object of happiness and the happiness, all of them merge or fuse into one. At that time, when I am really happy, at that time there is no duality at all. As long as there is a duality between myself and what I want, as long as that duality is there, so long my mind is restless. But when that object becomes one with me, at that time the duality is totally demolished, and what I experience is the Ananda happiness, which is non-duality. But I do not know that this happiness is my nature. I think that the happiness is coming from outside. Thus ignorance is involved. Therefore, this is called Anandamaya Kosha. So this is Karana Sharira Bhutayam Avidyayam, that avidya, which is of the nature of Karana Sharira, of causal body. In this ignorance, that Malina Sattvam Asti. Sattva is there in ignorance also, but Malina Sattvam, which is overpowered by Tamas in this case, Rajas and Tamas. Tan Modadi Vrittibihi Priya Moda Pramodakhyahi. What is that? Priya Vritti, Moda Vritti and Pramoda Vritti. These three show the intensity of the pleasure. Ishta Darshana Labha Bhogajanyahi. So this young man is waiting, he's waiting for a car, motor car. He's been desiring for years together, and finally the car is coming now. There is enough money now that he has saved, or his father must have given, whatever it is, but now the car. Now he hears that in India it takes so long even to get a car, even if you have money, you don't get it right away. Here you can walk into any dealer's place and just bring the car. There you have to register your name, and then, after some months, 6 months, formally it takes several years. Now after 6 months or so, you may get a car that you desire. And very often, even if you register, you may not get, there is a what do you call, the lucky dip or something like that. Nowadays that question is not there because there is enough production of motor cars, but even after having collected money, earned for several years, now I am told that yes, this particular car I am going to get, Maruti, I am going to get it. Let's see the model there. So Ishta, and then that darshanam. Now I go to the dealer, the car is right there. This is going to be my car. Gives me great joy, Ishta darshanam. This is the intensity of joy which is called priyavrutti. Then the car actually is given to me. Now I own the car. My ananda joy even further increases. Ishta labha. And then I ride the car. I am in the driver's seat. The car is started. The accelerator is pressed. And the car runs. And then I am in ecstasy. So that is called pramoda vritti. This happens, tomorrow is New Year Day. Some people may be planning, we'll have a cake, for example, tomorrow. You may look forward to it. You go to the dining hall, it is a cake. Ishta darshanam. So happy. Then it comes to a plate. Further happy. You can't wait. You take a piece and put it in your mouth, on the tongue, and then you are in ecstasy. So, Ishta darshana, labha, and bhoga. Seeing the thing that you like, having it, and enjoying it, experiencing it, the intensity of the joy increases at every stage. And the most intense joy is when you experience something that you love. So all of this is called, but all of them keep us off guard, understand? Because I think that happiness has come from cake. And therefore, I never realized that the happiness is my nature. It is the happiness of the self which I have been experiencing, for which cake is merely an instrument. Cake merely reflects the happiness that I am. As we were talking last night, the happiness seems to be there. That little silver necklace appears to be there in the water. It's not there, but it appears. Similarly also, the happiness appears to be in cake. In fact, the happiness that I experience is nothing but myself, but that I do not know, and therefore it is called kosha. Otherwise you would wonder, if ananda, the happiness, is the nature of Atma, and I am experiencing happiness here, why do you say that it is still kosha? Because it effectively conceals my true nature, that I am Ananda. And that is how this Ananda, the experience happiness, is called Anandamaya Kosha. That also conceals the nature of Atma, and therefore it is called Anandamaya. Anandamaya kya kosha syaditi. It is called Anandamaya Kosha. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.